Welcome back to our Off the Beaten Path series, where we look at some places that are less visited on the Gettysburg battlefield. And we're standing on the Abraham Trostle farm. And in 1863, on July 2nd, this is going to be the scene of some pretty heavy fighting. In the morning, General Dan Sickles, who is a politician from New York's Tammany Hall. He's a Tammany Hall huckster, as Daniel Day-Lewis calls them in the movie Lincoln. He's someone that rises to the rank of Major General in the Union Army through 1862 and 1863. And on the Gettysburg battlefield in July of 1863, he commands the Union 3rd Corps. And he's instructed by General Meade, commanding the Army of the Potomac, the Union Army, to situate his corps between the 2nd Corps of the Army of the Potomac and Little Round Top. And of course, as everyone knows, Dan Sickles doesn't like that position, and he's setting his sights on what he thinks is a better position to my left, which is the peach orchard between Union and Confederate lines. So on the afternoon of July 2nd, he moves his corps out to the peach orchard, and he makes his headquarters here at the Abraham Trostle farm. There's actually a witness tree called the Sickles witness tree just south of the barn, where he is allegedly going to set up his headquarters tents. So around 4 o'clock, as the Confederate attack begins on Sickles' lines, Sickles is going to be here at this spot on his horse observing the battle. And as the peach orchard salient, as his men are going to begin to retreat from the peach orchard, Sickles is looking in his binoculars to that situation when a shell grazes his horse, actually, and he looks down, and his right leg is going to be dangling by a thread, essentially. And how the shell didn't hit the horse is almost a miracle. But Sickles, who's delirious at that point, is going to be helped off of his saddle, and he's taken to the north end of the barn, the north side, where his aides are going to look at him and see that he doesn't have much of a leg left. And that's when Sickles, after the war, explains that he is jauntily carried off the field smoking a cigar. The validity of that story is questionable, but it's this spot, this monument, marks the place where he's wounded. After Sickles is wounded, he's taken to the Daniel Schaefer farm on the Baltimore Pike, where a sign there today denotes that he is going to have his leg amputated, although I don't think that his leg was amputated at the Daniel Schaefer farm. It's amputated elsewhere. But that's where he's going to be assessed to begin with. Also on the Abraham Trostle farm is the scene of a pretty dramatic incident with Captain John Bigelow's 9th Massachusetts Battery. Now, the 9th Massachusetts Battery is part of an artillery line that Colonel Freeman McGilvery, commander of the Union Artillery Reserve, is going to construct to fill in gaps that Sickles' line is going to present. So, because Meade can't muster the reinforcements to bolster Sickles' line so that he's not destroyed, Meade goes to Captain Freeman McGilvery, and McGilvery is going to send his artillery reserve to plug some of those gaps. And the 9th Massachusetts Battery is one battery from that reserve that's going to play an important role in delaying the Confederates so that Sickles can safely, or rather safely, retreat back to the safety of Cemetery Ridge. So Bigelow and his guns are going to start out on the Wheatfield Road to my left. And as the 21st Mississippi is going, and Barksdale's Mississippians break the line at the Peach Orchard, and as Joseph Kershaw's men are going to kind of turn their front and deal with the artillery fire that Bigelow's battery is giving them, Bigelow is compelled to withdraw. And he employs a textbook military tactic called retire by prolong, where he attaches ropes to the ends of his guns, which are attached to the caissons, and he pulls the guns with a rope and allows them to fire at the enemy as they retreat. So there's enough slack on the rope that allows the guns to recoil as they fire. So the men are going to be loading their cannons and firing as they're pulling back to the safety of the Abraham Trostle farm. And when they reach the Abraham Trostle farm, they stop and they fire again at the Confederates who were pursuing them. And at one point, one of his gunners is looking down. He's crouched down, and Bigelow thinks that he's being a coward, that he's not, tending to his responsibility to fire the gun. But actually, the gunner is looking down below the smoke to find targets for the gun to fire at. So he's not exhibiting cowardice. And once they reach the Abraham Trostle farm, they have two obstacles, which are the barn and the house. And by this point, Bigelow has lost some of his guns, but he's able to bring the guns through a gate in the stone wall, the stone fence of the Abraham Trostle farm, which is now called Bigelows Gate. So he's able to save some of his guns, but not all of them. Some of them are captured by the Confederates. Now the Trostle farm is intact today. There is a hole in the bricks where a shell is going to pierce the side of the barn, but other than that, the barn and the house are in relatively good shape. There are also some photographs that are taken after the battle that show Bigelow's horses, his casualties from his battery, and some of the horses that are going to fall in the vicinity of the farmyard, that show pretty well the toll that the Confederates were able to take on Bigelow's battery.